Hello everybody, I thought I'd do a little bit of a fun introduction thing. Hopefully that didn't break too many people's headphones and things. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream where we're going to have a little bit of a natter about various bits and bobs, specifically surrounding Leeds United. And we're going to have a good time, and it's going to be nice, and we're all going to be overjoyed by the end of it, and hopefully not find ourselves falling and falling and falling into the deep dark depths of the way that we tend to be sometimes when it comes to our opinions on football. Before I do so, how's everyone doing? I'm going to do it as normal. Let me know from 1 to 10 how you're feeling at the moment. I'm hoping for as many 10s as possible. That would be absolutely wonderful. But yeah, things have been very, very quiet, which is odd, different. We don't tend to get that when it comes to a transfer window, which is why it's a little bit of a worthy topic of conversation at the minute. So I thought I'd have a little bit of talk around that as well. Yeah, we'll start with, in addition to that, the fact that yesterday Leeds United faced off against Wrexham. I will be honest, right? My initial plan was at like 11 PM I was going to do a stream, and that would take me into a little bit before kickoff, at which point I would head over to Big Up and drag you guys with me, and we'd have a little bit of a chat with Jer about the match whilst the match was going on. We'll do a little bit of a watch along over there. Yeah, so what happened was I was cuddling a baby, and then the baby fell asleep, and I fell asleep, and I woke up at 1 in the morning, and at that point it was half time. So at that point I was like, right, okay, that's fine, maybe I can work something out. I didn't end up working anything out. I went back to sleep again, and I watched the highlights today because I'll be honest with you, it's the first match of pre-season. It was against Wrexham, who have played significantly more pre-season matches at this point, which meant that at the end of the day it wasn't going to matter too much. It's not a result that we needed in the slightest. It's one of those where you just sort of take a look at a few different players that are going to get some minutes and go, oh, well, did you have a good time? Nice. Did you have a good time? Nice. Spectacular. But there are potentially a couple of little messages and bits and bobs that we can pick up from it, which is ideally what we'll be looking at, as opposed to losing our heads like a few people are potentially doing so. May I recommend a general moisturiser with an SPF so you don't get caught out again? Not sure I could cope here with London's sunnier climate. Yeah, normally I would have sun creamed, except on this day it started out incredibly cloudy when we set off on our long walk, and then as the day went on it stopped being cloudy, and we were almost sort of back to where we were aiming for, which was a spoons in town, by the time we were starting to really feel it, and then the aftermath sort of kicked our teeth in. So normally I would have anyway, but not this time, which, well, that happens. Additionally, I got a buttload of after sun, so that's good. Worried about the DCL setback, would love another number 9 back up this window. I think we'll get it as well, to be honest. I think it would be wild if we're looking at the fact that DCL is out of a pre-season game, and that damages us to the extent that we're like, let's play Joel Piroe. Oh, Piroe's not really picked up too well. Let's try Mech. Oh, Mech has not been fantastic either. But there were a couple of bright sparks in that game, and we can't ignore that there were a couple of bright sparks, because at the end of the day, you can't just look at the bad. You look at the good sometimes as well, in spite of what a hell of a lot of Leeds United YouTube will tell you. Including, if it wants to open. There we go. From all reports, Mills was excellent. He sort of adapted to the senior football vibe really, really well and made himself look pretty damn solid, to be honest with you. A lot of good from Longstaff. Got an assist and a goal, I believe, which was very, very nice. And the finish was delicious for that goal because, as I mentioned, I've seen the highlights. Not a significant amount more than that, but, you know, the highlights will tend to do a job when it comes to stuff like this. In addition to that, Jayden Leno got some minutes. Apparently he didn't do too badly. And Harry Wilson. From what I've seen, and I watched a little bit more of the second half out of curiosity, Harry Wilson is an incredible pickup for us and will continue to be an incredible pickup for us. He looked very comfortable a lot of the time, and you can already tell that that sort of Bogle-Wilson link-up down that flank will do incredibly well. I think having Dan James out there as well made things a little bit confused in the immediate term, because it was a case of, right, okay, Wilson can also play on the wing, but he looks like he's potentially playing in the 10, so what's going on there? But as things go on, we'll get a little bit of a better idea of what exactly Harry Wilson's role is going to be in the squad and what we can expect from him going forwards. Watched the whole game. Mills looked very good. 17-2, going to be a top player, I'll tell you that. I hope so. I hope he's one of the players that we've been able to pick up and, well, not pick up, but like from our academy, that we've been able to just have and keep and becomes good. Because too much of the time, it's a case of have, keep for a bit, Man City come in and they want to spend 8 figures on them, which is what happened with Finley Gorman, which is sort of infuriating, but like that's going to happen. You can't really help it sometimes. Who would have thought Fulham's Player of the Year would be any good? Exactly, I know. I mean, to be fair, it's Fulham, so that makes it a little bit more confusing. Oh, Besto, that is a stinker of a drop catch. Sorry, I've got the 100 on in the background because I was watching it earlier and I forgot to turn it off. I don't want the Burnley striker, we can do better. What Burnley striker? Has there been conversation around us signing a Burnley striker that I've missed? Because if so, I would like to hear it, because I'm very, very curious. Just right, Wrexham game was training for Farker to assess some players. That I agree with. I think it was a case of take a look at as many players as possible, because there weren't many players that played the full 90. There was Ampadu, who we know is going to be starting next season anyway. There was Rodon, who we know is going to be starting next season anyway. And there was Justin, who we don't have a hell of a lot of wing backs at the moment, because Linu, sure, fantastic, but Gudmundsson's not fully back yet. His first day in training was the other day. So it makes a lot of sense to be a little bit more patient with this, to sort of slow things down a touch and go, right, let's solidify things a touch, shall we? He's talking about Fleming. I've not seen a single thing about Fleming. Is Fleming actually being linked to Leeds? He was missing from Burnley's lineup against Ajax, but I mean that just says that he's potentially going somewhere. Yeah, there's nothing in the rumours that I see as like this is a big good source that we can completely rely on, to be honest with you. It seems, yeah. No, I really don't see Fleming being the option, because I don't realistically think that he suits what we're looking for at the minute either, does he? Because we're looking at potentially different profile to DCL, which he is. He's just sort of big lad that you lump up top. But what I think has happened is people have looked around various levels of football. They've seen Zion Fleming is 6 foot and a bit tall, 27 years old, striker at the bottom of the Premier League, and they've gone, well, Leeds were doing a lot of that last season, so surely Leeds will do that again this season, and that's really not seemed to be the case in terms of the targets that we're looking at. The targets that we're looking at are either completely free, affordable, talented players, which you're looking at your Brandt, you're looking at Wilson, or it is significantly younger players who have a hell of a lot of potential that we would look to bring up and potentially sell for a profit in the future. That being Frankie Lino-Jew, that would be James Trafford, that would be Shea Charles, etc., etc., etc. So I think last season you potentially look at Fleming and go, yeah, that's a deal that could make sense. This year you look at Fleming and you go, no, I don't think so. It's absolutely not what we're looking at the minute, and I think it'd be a little bit of a daft move for us, to be completely honest. Anyone told you any updates on Brandt or Trafford? It's been quiet. I think it's been quiet because A, we had a match, which is fine. B, most of our sort of management is abroad, and C, it is still the weekend. Like, I know that we sort of assume that football runs on a 24/7 basis, and it can during the season. But for me, when it is the transfer market and club administrators take a day off, I'm not going to be too mad. It's fine. Have a chill. Take a little bit of time to yourself. Come back to it Monday. It doesn't have to be news. And I think we'll potentially... Also, in addition to that, journalists, for the most part, aren't going to be in the office right now, which makes things even more complicated because they're not going to be able to report on things. Admittedly, like YouTubers, such as myself, aren't off, but then again, it's less of a sort of job for me. It is, admittedly, an income, but it's not an income. It's I do this for fun, and then people watch it, and it's quite nice, and thank you very much. And any contributions are always massively appreciated, but not necessary, is what I'm going to say. On the Brandt issue, I'd rather get Schultz. He's younger, very good player, probably won't cost too much. He will cost, the rumour was, sort of 25 million euros. So it's not a small fee that we would have to pay for Schultz if we were to do that. It's, yeah... He's a very, very good player, to be clear, and he's got a very, very high ceiling. But the cost isn't as small as we imagine it would be. And in the case of... Wait, how do you mean would have a sell-on fee? That's not a good thing for us. That's a case of, unless you're on about, would retain his value. But to be fair, Brandt, I think, improves us a little bit more in the immediate term, which is sort of an important thing for us. Until the big money deals are determined, they won't... I'm going to guess no. They won't know how much the transfer budget is left to spend on other players needed. I imagine that there's sort of plans in place anyway, though, right? Because, A, Brandt isn't going to affect the amount of money we have for fees. That's fine. And Trafford, I imagine there is a list of if we do get Trafford and if we don't get Trafford, as based on where the money's going to go and how much we've got for various positions. Which is sort of understandable and fine. I'm trying to get to the right spot in my... Hang on. There we go. Trying to get to the right spot in the camera shot, which is this bit, because the camera's over here. Not camera, the chat's over here. And that complicates things a little bit. But yeah, I don't think it will realistically affect the mechanics of what the transfer team are doing behind the scenes. It's more a case of... don't know how to phrase it. It's more a case of like planning wise, if that makes sense. I don't know if it does make sense. Whatever. It's fine. We move. Whatever. Who knows what players come in? Wait and see. I mean, we can have a guess at what players come in from various bits of news and rumours and where the word is, and the word seems to be in the direction of Trafford coming in and potentially Brandt coming in. That one's less certain, but he does seem to sort of lean in the direction of the Premier League. I saw someone earlier say that Brandt wants to test himself in the Premier League, and Leeds United are the main sort of... Is Hunter the word? The main guy chasing him down, which it kind of makes sense that if we're going in that direction. We need the dominoes to fall this week. I'm anticipating Trafford closing Wednesday late. It's much less optimistic about Brandt. What dominoes do we need to fall, though? Because I think we're the first domino for both of the deals that we're looking at. I think for Julian Brandt, there aren't dominoes because he's not attached to a club. And if you're looking at the Trafford one, it's not like we're waiting on Manchester City to make a signing before that one gets done. It's Torino that need the dominoes to fall because Torino are looking at signing Lucas Perry. What happens further down that line, I don't know, because are someone waiting to sign a Torino goalkeeper and all that kind of stuff, and it flows and it flows and it flows? I don't know. But what I do know is that we are at the front of the domino lines on both of these, and it's less dominoes and more just sort of waiting for something to happen. Because something will happen. It's just a little bit of patience, I think. Looks like shirt tomorrow, so maybe Trafford and Brandt unveiled. I think at most we get one unveiled if that happens. I think in addition to that, this was a thing that was kind of scheduled for a good while. So if we do unveil a player with the kit, that would be, genuinely insane. That would be a massive coincidence because as far as I'm aware, it's been scheduled for this date for a while, the kit release, because it's a fairly consistent amount of time after the away shirt, and having the Fanatics thing where if you go to my link down below, you can buy the new Leeds United shirt from Fanatics, and I get a small cut of that. Thank you very much. I believe it comes out of Fanatics' cut as well, so that'd be lovely. But that'd be quite nice. Thank you. But there's sort of the implication that would be coincidence rather than a plan, because you can't really change shirt release plans that fast, which is a bit silly. Yeah, I had seen that Nick Voltemad was looking for a way out, which I understand, because he seems to be a little bit sort of unhappy there. He seems to be underutilized there. I don't know if that's a move that we'll realistically look at, because I think we are very much leaning in the direction of very, very, very talented players that are young and will evolve, which I'm happy with being our sort of goal. Ellen Road Insider says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Trafford or Brent could get unveiled tomorrow with the kit, because there's no way none of the journalists found out on either side. I think there is a chance on Brant. I think it wouldn't make sense for Trafford, because at least Brant, we are dealing solely with a single player and his representative being his dad, which simplifies things a lot. If you just say to Julian Brandt, don't make any more leaks and then we will be fine and we will sign you, then that, I imagine, is an easy enough request from our side. It's not something that is difficult for him to accept. Whereas, on the other hand, if you are having a look at Trafford, you are hoping that the journalists on our side don't pick it up, which is also true for Brandt, but you're also hoping that the journalists on the City side don't pick it up, which is even more difficult. Plus, it's an outfield shirt that we're showing off, so if anyone would be unveiled in it, it would be Brandt, but I don't believe that's going to be the case. I don't think that will happen. We don't know if both deals have not already been done. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the media are effectively kept a couple of steps behind in recent weeks, which is a good thing, to be honest, because it means that we're being sort of tight and secure with all of our information. And we don't tend to get we don't get gazumped so often anymore. We don't get various other teams go, oh, you know what, we've got X amount of money for a player, we're going to sign your target, because we're being quite quiet about who we want to sign, which is sort of positive. James showed his usual speed, but nothing else. I mean, he did win a penalty. Like that, at the end of the day, you do just use speed, but it's speed that has an outcome. So I'm less of the opinion that that's a bad thing that he uses speed quite a lot, and more of a sort of it's a positive. It works. Either way, I think tomorrow's going to be a massive day for Leeds transfer-wise. I hope so. I think we'll get bits of news. I don't know exactly what that news will be. If I did, I would be reporting it now, and I would be getting a lot of views out of that. But I feel like something's in the water. Something's coming, and I'm not sure what it is. Take it the leak shirt will be the shirt. It's the only consistently reported version of a Leeds shirt that I've seen for quite a while. So it very much looks like it will be the leaked stripy thing. I don't hate too much, but I prefer straight plain white with a little bit of a fun yellow-blue trim. It feels like it's a bit of an intrusive trim, but it's okay. But I hope we forget about Charles. We need to conserve funds for hopefully not Delap. I don't think Delap is good enough to be a starting striker in the Premier League at the moment. He did decently with Ipswich, fine, but since then he has been firmly average. And I say firmly average. It's firmly average in a Chelsea side that create a hell of a lot of chances for him to put away, which is even more disappointing. I very much would not be happy if we signed Liam Delap. Admittedly, similarly priced, fine. Like, I feel like there's a hell of a lot of young talent that we can pick up on the continent. But if it's just, let's throw some money at Liam Delap, it shows a real sign of, like, a failure of imagination. And I think the 49ers are honestly a bit better than that. Oh, that should have been a run out. Sorry, again, I've still got the cricket in the background. Where were we? There's talk about a deal with Voldemort to Leeds, given the German influence at Leeds. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think if the other fees get a little bit too expensive, that could be the case that we look for a loan player, but I don't know if it'll be Voldemort. Because I think Voldemort is presumably looking at where he can play a hell of a lot of football. And I don't strictly think that's going to be the case at Leeds, because I think we're going to be in a position where we're trying to force competition between our players, as opposed to just saying, you are the number one striker, therefore you will get all of the minutes. We won't want to do that for Calvert-Lewin, we won't want to do that for Voldemort. Instead, it'll be a case of we are signing someone that is young and promising to make their impact, and if they are good enough, they will get the minutes that show that we trust them. And I think that's a healthier way of doing things, as opposed to signing players that are... Oh, that's a bit weird. As opposed to signing players that are already established, I guess. Seems like everyone's been linked to Leeds. It feels like it's the lazy link that you get a lot of the time. It feels like the link that gets made when you are looking to sell a player as an agent, and you see that Leeds are looking for a player in your player's position, and you just go, Leeds probably have a fairly chunky transfer budget and are known to want a player in the 9. Therefore, I'm going to leak something, and hopefully that gets a little bit of a shift on with very... Oh, Trent have won this then. They need 4 from 4. It's done. And hopefully that makes other people pick up their interest. And I don't like that we're used in that regard, but we need to recognise that we will continue to be used in that regard anyway. It's not really our choice. That's just what happens in modern transfers, especially when it's us. We're a very clickbaitable side, and in addition to that, we also boost the interest a lot ourselves. Because Leeds fans, let's be honest, are desperate to have conversations about signing players. And that makes sense because we like our new shiny toys. However, that makes us a very useful tool for agents that are looking to sell their players. So I don't think Voldemort will happen. But if it does, I wouldn't hate it, but it wouldn't really suit what we've been doing. Vlahovic is not happening. I think Vlahovic screams Saudi Arabia, in my opinion. I'll have a look at what he was on. Was it Juve last? Dusan Vlahovic. Let's take a look. Oh, he's out of contract. That's why I can't see it. Why is no one saying numbers? He got a salary raise last season, but I don't know what it was. Which is infuriating. But I don't think Vlahovic is going to be one that we do. I think DJ, Brandon, Longstaff, Tanaka, and Okafor will be fantastic coming off the bench. I don't think Okafor comes off the bench. I think Okafor just plays because I think Okafor is good enough to just play. Because we saw last season that when Okafor was on the pitch, we were significantly better at creating chances and putting chances away. So I very genuinely do not see a world in which Okafor isn't our starting left winger. Unless we sign someone that is vastly better, but that is significantly unlikely. Hello there, Rich Bedford. Voldemort will cost a lot. Not on loan strictly. Unless he has a ridiculously high wage. Let's have a look. Oh boy. Yeah, he's on 130 grand a week. So I would rather we not do that, to be honest. That's a hell of a lot of cash. Yeah, I think maybe don't make a loan player that wouldn't be your definite starting number 9 your highest paid player at the club. Because that would be a bad call. Was Gelhardt in the squad? I think they want to put him in the shop window more since Hull's gone cold on him? No, he was not. He was left at home. I believe very much deliberately, because it was a case of he's in discussions with other clubs, don't injure him. Because as much as you can put a player in the shop window, you can also lead to someone being injured at some point, which isn't good at the end of the day. That's how you fail to make a deal going forwards, because if you accidentally crock all of your items in the shop window, you're not going to be able to sell them to anyone. So I like the idea of putting him in the shop window, but at the same time, that shop window is a china shop when you invite in the bull. Just seem we're teasing the home kit for tomorrow. We are indeed. I should probably write up a post about that kit. Maybe I'll live stream at the time. I'll see. I'll work it out. What time are we thinking that the kit comes out? Do I have an email about when the kit comes out? No. Where is my nice shiny email from Fanatics? Oh my god, they changed my contract. Anyway, Perry played, which I thought was odd given he's going to Torino. I think it's fine, to be honest, for Perry to have the second half. I think the first half, being not Perry, ultimately showed that he's not going to be the player that we are relying on for the foreseeable future. I don't hate that too much. I think he's basically gone regardless. So it's more a question of timing on when he goes rather than anything else. Hang on. That's what they changed. Okay. I just want to quickly check something, because there is some potentially important information that I would like to not leak if it's not leakable. I don't mind leaking it, to be fair. Well, that's fine by me. Right, that's fine. I can dismiss that. That? No? Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I wonder who our second keeper will be. I think we'll find out. I think it's probably not going to be Cairns. We're likely going to sign someone. Or we're going to rely on maybe Mahady. It feels a little bit unlikely, but there was this point where we'd never put Mahady on. It was a friendly after all. I imagine we'll play Mahady at some point in one of the next two friendlies, because we play Friday and we play Sunday. So either everyone gets 45 minutes in each match, or we have effectively two teams, one which plays 90 in the Sunderland, one which plays 90 in the Liverpool, which is going to be a little bit interesting. I think we'll see what's your name? I've forgotten your name. How have I forgotten your name? I think we see Gabby against Liverpool, because he will have been back for long enough to do that. But Perry had to come on as Cairns was an embarrassment to watch. Right, I'll have a look at the highlights again, and I will do my goalkeeping perspective shit once more, because I always do my goalkeeping perspective thing once more, you know? I'm going to need to fix something on YouTube in a minute. Leeds versus Wrexham highlights. Right. We potentially go over to screen 2 in a minute, and I've not got too long of the stream left, but... Shut up, Bryn. Right. Sorry, Bryn. I am quite fond of you as a person. Right, Fleming. That's Rodon's man. Loses him. Right, first goal. We're going to do this. Why not? First goal comes through. Fleming's here, right? For me, from this position, as a goalkeeper, you are relying on your centre-back here to get in the way. That is ultimately your centre-back's job here. Shot comes in. All you can do is stick your foot out. It's not an easy one to get in the way of. I'll see if there's a replay of it. I don't think there's a replay from a better angle, which is fine. Then we have missed penalty from Peru. Then we have goal scored by Peru. Right, this one, admittedly, not brilliant. Wrexham man running through. For me, if you are in this position at all, you don't blame the goalkeeper, because you blame the defenders around the goalkeeper for letting it be one-on-one out here. Cairns has to chase, because that's really the only choice he's got. Gets a finger to it, which, sure, it could have got more on it, but that's fine. Goal. Which isn't great. Like, we'll be honest here. But at the end of the day, if we're in a position where it's looking like this, and you are blaming the goalkeeper more than the defenders, then I don't know what we're doing here. Cairns has to come, has to close down the angle. It's this turn that does him. Because at this point, Cairns is getting set for a shot. Absolutely diddled here. Gets a finger to it, but it's not enough. In terms of sort of presence and confidence, like, at the end of, I don't think you can judge a goalkeeper's sort of confidence on a friendly. And that might sound like a stupid thing to say, and that's fine. But didn't Perry get dropped for a goal similar last season against Scum? I don't think so. I can't quite remember, to be honest. But is there a private jet from Manchester to Leeds Bradford tomorrow at 8? I don't see why there would be a private jet tomorrow from Leeds, from Manchester to Leeds Bradford at 8. Because surely you just drive from Manchester. But we'll have a look. Oh, cool. Leeds Bradford is the number 4 most disrupted airport in the world right now. Tomorrow morning. Oh, hello. What are you doing there? Hold on. Let's go to monitor 2 again. Let's zoom in a bit. Manchester to Leeds, arriving at 8:37 in the morning. Now that is an interesting one. Okay. There's also one from Liverpool, but that's a prop, and we don't really use props for that. Farnborough, also a proper jet. Where's Farnborough? That could be an agent. I don't know. Yeah, that is the most pointless flight I have ever seen. Why would you... What? Why? But it's an interesting one, I think. So I might see if I can do a stream at that time. I believe I'm solo parenting at that point, which could make it difficult, but I might do a camera off stream. It's now estimated to be leaving at 8:25, which is very, very weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say pop a 1 in the chat if you think that is the Trafford flight, and 2 in the chat if you think that isn't the Trafford flight. Because I don't understand why we would fly James Trafford. I just... Wait, did I say 1 if it isn't, 2 if it isn't? I always forget what order I say that. I binary badly. 1 is, 2 not. Okay, thank you very much. We're about 50-50, to be honest. Could be agreed tomorrow morning since it's Monday. Yeah, that's my thinking. If it weren't immediately after a weekend when we've potentially been having discussions with Manchester City, I wouldn't believe it. Oh, Oh, and it's kit release day. Ah, it's tricky. Okay. Right. We will see, is what I'm going to say on that one, because that is a very, very interesting one to keep a little bit an eye on. Thought Trafford was in Ibiza. I don't know where Trafford is, to be honest. I can have a Google. But if I just search Trafford Ibiza. I've searched the words Trafford Ibiza and I've not seen a single thing. So there's a pretty good chance that he's in the UK, especially if he's been dealing with the transfer. He's on holiday, but we don't know where. He's in his 3-week break. Anyway, I'm probably going to leave that stream there because I am going to try and get a baby to go to sleep. But thank you for coming along on this wonderful journey. It's massively appreciated as always. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe as well if you enjoyed it. That's always quite nice. You can also hype it. Let's hype it up, folks. I don't know what it means to hype a thing, but that'd be quite nice. Yeah, do all that stuff. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all soon. Toodaloo. Potentially, I'll see you at 8 a.m, but we'll have to see on that one. Ta-ra.